5 graphs of sine and cosine functions, day 2. In this lesson, we're going to look at the cosine graph. So what I did was write the general form, and on the left you're going to see my unit circle, and notice on the coordinates I underlined the x-coordinate because that represents cosine. Now over here on my graph, you're going to see my x tick marks represent theta, or your radians, and your y-axis will represent cosine of theta. So the way that the graph will look is at 0, cosine is 1. At pi over 2, cosine is 0. At pi, cosine is -1. 3 pi over 2 is 0. And at 2 pi is at 1. So for the cosine graph, it goes max, 0, min, 0, and back at your max. And then the cycle keeps repeating. This represents one period, which is 5 points. At the bottom, you're going to notice your characteristics of amplitude, which is the same as sine, absolute value of A, which gives you your max. Remember that. Your period is 2 pi over B. Your phase shift, if you see x minus c, you're going right c units. Or if you see x plus c, you're going left c units. Your midline is still y equals d, which is your mid of your graph. And I just did it in black on the graph so you can see. And your key points are 5. You start at your phase shift, and you're going to keep adding increments of 1/4 times your period. So we're going to begin by graphing one period of y equals 3 cosine 2 pi x plus 4 pi. And just like with the sine graph, I'm going to rewrite this so it's in the right form. I'm going to factor out a 2 pi. So we can see with B and C. So that'll leave me with x plus 2 plus 0. So my amplitude is the absolute value of A, which is 3. My period is 2 pi divided by B, which is 1. My phase shift, we're going left 2 units. My midline is y equals 0. And just to help you so you'll know where I'm getting those values, A was 3, B was 2 pi, C -2, and D is 0. So to get your key points, so your first point, we'll always start at your phase shift, which is left 2, so we're going to do -2. And then to get your other 4, you're going to take -2 and you're going to add 1/4 times your period. Your period is 1, which is equal to 1/4. So we're going to add 1/4 each time to the last x value, or the previous x value. So -2 plus 1/4, you have to get a common denominator. -8/4 plus 1/4 is -7/4. -7/4 plus 1/4 is -6/4, or you can reduce it. -6/4 plus 1/4 is -5/4. -5/4 plus 1/4 is -4/4, which is -1. Remember, it doesn't matter. Notice that all of your x values are negative, which means we will not cross 0. I'm just placing my x values on my graph. And remember, you don't have to reduce it. 3 is my max. Negative 3 is my min. And here's my midline. All right, remember the cosine graph. We start at your max, then 0, min, then 0, then back at your max. And there's my cosine graph. In example 2, we're going to see what happens when a is negative. So let me identify everything first. A is negative 4. Wait. Don't forget. Rewrite this. I'm going to factor out a 2. So x is by itself. So when you do pi over 2 divided by 2, that's the same thing as pi over 2 times the reciprocal, which is 1/2. So that'll give me pi over 4 plus 0. All right, now let's try this again. A is negative 4, B is 2, C is positive pi over 4, and D is 0. So your amplitude is the absolute value of negative 4, which is 4. So that's your max. Your period is 2 pi over B, which is pi. Your phase shift, we're moving right, pi over 4. Your midline is y equals 0. All right, to get your key points, your first one starts at, we're moving right, pi over 4. And then we're going to take that and we're going to add. Remember, you do 1/4 times your period, which means we're going to add pi over 4 each time. And I just go ahead and set this up so it's already ready. So for the first one, we're adding pi over 4 plus pi over 4, which is 2 pi over 4. And you can reduce it. 2 pi over 4 plus pi over 4 is 3 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4 plus pi over 4 is 4 pi over 4. You can reduce it if you would like. And then 4 pi over 4 plus pi over 4 is 5 pi over 4. Notice all your x values are positive. And I'm starting at pi over 4. And you can either write the reduced form or not reduce. 4 is the max. Negative 4 is the min. And I have my midline. Okay. Now, usually cosine would start at your max, but since a is negative, it's going to go min, 0, max, 0, min. And there's your cosine graph when a is negative. Example 3, we don't have anything to factor, but I am going to rewrite this. You can be minus or plus 0, it doesn't matter. So now a is 5, b is 1. Remember, b can never be 0. C can be 0, and D can be 0. Which means your amplitude is the absolute value of 5. So 5 is your max. Your period is 2 pi over B, which is 2 pi. So that's like your typical cosine graph. Your phase shift is none, so we're not going to move, which means we're going to start at 0. Your midline is y equals 0. And to get your key points, your first x starts at 0. So this is going to be similar to the unit circle. And then to know what you're adding each time, you're going to do your 1/4 times your period which is 2 pi over 4, which equals pi over 2. So that's what we're going to add each time to get our 5 points. So 0 plus pi over 2 is pi over 2. Pi over 2 plus pi over 2 is 2 pi over 2, which is pi. 2 pi over 2 plus pi over 2 is 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 plus pi over 2 is 4 pi over 2, which is 2 pi. Notice all your x values are positive. So 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. 5 is your max. Negative 5 is your min. Okay, so remember cosine starts max, 0, min, 0, max.